Yesterday we have a couple of things left in the Lambda, right? So one is blueprint and another one is container. So uh, basically, when we are trying to develop something, uh, we are trying to code using some language. Basically, we use it from scratch. But AWS provides us an option to use blueprints available. So blueprints is nothing but there will be some templates or some sample codes available. So to use them, we can use blueprint. Let's see if I select blueprint. Here there are some blueprints available. You can see get started with the basic ones and some jobs, CloudWatch, SNS, Streams, Firehose. There are a lot of uh, templates available. So if you consider one of them, I can consider Python job, get S3 object. If I select that one, everything will be changed. Runtime will be selected, architecture will be selected, role, we will be selecting the role. And then you can see the Lambda function here. So it is importing some required libraries. It is writing some predefined code first.
Okay.
So what we selected get S3 object. It is just using some boto3 client. We discussed about it yesterday, right? So boto3 is a package in Python which is used to connect to AWS service. So as
Should
we
we
are
should we mention that S3 object here, like which I mean, like which folder we wanted to like here in the 14th line, like we have to mention it there.
yeah, they are just selecting the bucket name. So while running the code, we will be creating some events, right?
Yeah.
Some
Uh-huh.
keys, values. So inside that one, they are passing JSON object.
Yeah.
So they are just um, you picking up the bucket name from there, and inside that bucket name, they are just uh, hitting that functions available in that Motor 3 client, and they are printing returning the output. So you can see what are all the objects available, functions available for that. So if you see here, all of these are functions. So
Mm-hmm.
what they use is get object. We go to get object. You can see what are all the parameters that we can pass to it. You can see get object. These are all the input variables that it will accept. And the response, you can see here. This is how response moves. It will return all the responses. And if you want to go each and every uh, argument, you can find all of them or details about all of them here. So this is how they're using SDK, Python SDK inside the Lambda function. And you don't need to have any uh, access ID, secret ID, or username password to connect to S3 service, because we are already inside AWS and we are already inside the that particular network. So that's the reason we don't need to provide any authentication. You can just directly use both of the client and it will directly connect. When we are running uh, the code inside the AWS.
Okay.
So we selected get S3 object, right? So it directly by default it is creating some event. So S3 trigger. So once there is an S3 file or see what are all the events that uh, we wanted to do. If we can select, so if I'm selecting all objects, you can give some prefixes for that, which file to pick, which file to pick, I mean, which folder. It's like we are selecting the bucket name here, right? We are giving the bucket name, right? So inside that bucket name will be having the subfolder. So that is prefix, and the extension part, that is suffix. So all we can just select all the options, and we can just directly create the function. So it's like predefined function. We can use a predefined function. And coming to container image. So container image is something which is already predefined somewhere. Sorry, do you anyone or did anyone work with container services, Dockers, images?
No.
Yes, I have done.
Okay. So you might have heard about images, right? So how images
Yeah,
work and how they are built, and how we are going to run those images in the build images in the container services like Docker or somewhere.
yeah,
So this is the uh, last priority thing that we are going to work, because containers will be these container images will be built somewhere else, like with so we have Amazon ECR, which is container resources, where we will be building these images. So again, this is again different. You will be having a Docker file. You will be running that image file inside the Docker, so that you will be setting up an environment for it. So this is where your images reside. Once you create the container images, you will be getting everything required for that particular. So in general, we are creating layers and all. Right? When we are um, creating a lambda function, if we needed pandas or numpy, we will be creating those that virtual environment, and we are adding that layer to this lambda function and utilizing that package, right? So coming to container, so once if we want to create everything, we'll be creating that build image entirely in that container image, so that it will be having all the resources, all the packages, everything will be created inside the container image. So once we upload that container image here, and we just deploy that one, it will be running all the required things for us. See, this is how the Docker file will be. See, here you will be having a file where you will be having all the required commands, code, everything will be there, and that will be converted to a Docker image, and that will be run in a container. The similar way, we'll be building everything, we'll be writing every command, everything inside that file, and we'll be storing that in creating image and storing that in container service ECR, and we'll be deploying it in here. So in general, as a data engineer, we don't need to worry about creating the container images and all. So we have DevOps team for that, and we can can create our Python code and required things here, and we can let them know to do what is needed to create the container image. They can build that, and we can use that container image here. And going forward, when we are learning some, when we are discussing about MSK, again we will be um, hearing this word like container images, Docker, and all. So we'll be discussing these again about these container services and how can we create page, pages and all.
Mhm.
So you got right, you got it right. How container works and how can we create a Python function from a blueprint.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shrikant.
I hope everyone is clear about lambda functions, how it is going to work, how we can increase memory, what are the limitations, what kind of jobs we can run here, and how we can create lambda functions from different
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a question.
approaches.
Yes, in real time to use a Lambda function, are you using uh, the UI or you have to import it in your Visual Studio Code and then you start coding?
So generally, what we do is we just use um, the visual itself. So we'll
Okay,
be creating lambda function from scratch, and we can just the runtime, whatever the runtime language we needed. You can just select all of them and just start coding there. Or else, if you have code handy, maybe if you have worked it offline, you can just again create it from scratch and copy paste your.
okay, okay,
Yeah, these will be the basic. In Lambda, the runtime is only 15 minutes. I mean, the time of is for 15, maximum of 15 minutes. We'll be running the basic automation jobs or monitoring jobs here. So what we will do is we just create a Lambda function from scratch and then write it here. So using blueprint container images, these two are introduced lately. Most of the data engineers out there will like to use from the scratch.
Shrikant, this is Krishna. So, is that Lambda run only for 15 minutes or is it the wait time to execute a function?
No, it is the maximum uh, can run a
Runtime.
function. Yeah, maximum
So, the
runtime.
maximum time frame to throughout running a function is 15 minutes.
Yeah, so it will wait for 15 minutes before throwing a timeout. You see here the default is 3 seconds. So even if you run a job that will take
Yeah,
15
you have
seconds,
shown this one yesterday.
it will
Actually, I assumed timeout means to get the response, we'll maintain timeout, right?
no
I
no
thought that.
no no it's 15 it can run up to 15 minutes only.
Okay, then in that case, my Selenium thing don't work for this one. Okay.
That's the reason I was mentioning that basic jobs are automation jobs.
Yeah, usually we do that for automation, but the Selenium thing I'm trying for the first time.
Uh,
Even I'm not completely aware of the architecture, but I'm just figuring out what is the process of doing that.
no.
Okay, anyways,
So
I got the answer, so this one don't work for
if your
me.
job requires less than 50, if your job runs less than 15 minutes, you can choose this. Otherwise,
So
it is not.
mine will run overnight.
Then this is not this
Yeah,
won't work for you. But you can use this lambda to trigger your actual job.
correct.
Just triggering won't take much time.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can use lambda in that way to trigger jobs to check whether the job completed successfully for every 5 minutes of improvement. Those kind of
Yeah,
things you can implement.
correct. Got you.
So I hope everyone is clear about Lambda function. Any questions or any doubts? Anyone? And
So
yeah.
apart from the triggering and running up like a basic requirements, what is the other purpose we use for Lambda?
So what other purposes we can use? Uh, it differs from scenario to scenario. Like so, two things I have mentioned already. One is triggering, and the other one is monitoring. Like whether
Hmm.
the job run is completed or not, or something like that. And there are few other scenarios where you receive an event. If you create an event bus and a rule where you receive a uh, S3 file into a folder and you wanted to move that S3 file from that folder to somewhere else, you can create an event rule and you can use Lambda in that case. And just thinking of scenarios, real-time scenarios where we can use Lambda.
Transferring the
We
data
can
also.
uh, transferring data. If it is a minimal data, then this
Yeah,
works. But the data, if the data is huge, then this is not going to work. Because again, we have a limitation of memory, right? We can only support up to 10 GB memory. So
yeah, yeah.
that's not going to work. The data is huge.
Hmm.
So for minimal amount of data, yeah, that's fine. We can use it, and we can also use it for sending alerts, whether to send alert messages to SMS or directly to email. Like you can use SMTP connectors to send mails, right? In Python code. You can write that part here. We can do, yeah, any services. If you want to spin up any services, or like if you want to trigger anything other than jobs and all, if you want to spin up any service, you can do that as well. If you see both or three, you can get like good idea what we can do. What services we can do. You can see these are all the services that it is going to support. Flow, application cost profiler, apps, all these, everything it will add. Photo 3 will be supported. You can do anything that is not taking time, you can do that. Then if you opt for, yeah, if you see Redshift, if you take Redshift, there are these many functions: resizing, creating cluster, and deleting cluster, describing and getting objects, the modifying cluster, resuming cluster, everything we have. Uh, we can do lot of things from Lambda, but it depends on scenario to scenario. You can just simply remember it as a basic automation tool that we can do. So if something is needed, some monitoring is needed for some service or some job, we can do it from here. there are other services available to do that as well. But if you want to do it in programmatic way or in a customized way, it can help. Maybe once you start thinking of real-time scenarios and working on a real-time project, then you will understand how we can utilize Lambda function more effectively and uh, use more Lambda function more optimizely. All these you will understand once you start working on in a real-time scenarios.
Okay. So,
I think the
yes, and that's good. And I asked about like will you speak about your real-time experience, how you handle the project, and what's the
yeah,
team size, and that could be helpful for us.
yes, yes. So as we are discussing about Lambda today, I will share my experience how I work with Lambda. Uh,
No, not only Lambda, like not only exactly
yeah,
Lambda. I'm just asking.
I just wanted to cover how I utilize services and across all these years. So
Yeah.
I mean, whenever we are discussing some services, I will tell my experience how I use that and what scenarios. You will get to know the real time scenarios as well, right? While using that service. So that's the reason I just wanted to start with the Lambda function and how I use it.
Okay.
So this Lambda function I use it for in two scenarios. But not in the two, exactly three scenarios. The first one is when I was working in a data streaming project where we are migrating data from SQL Server to Snowflake in AWS as intermediate. We are using Kafka as streaming service. So Kafka is a service, third-party service where it will be reading data from updates or data from the source and write it to top.
Sorry. Can you come again, Srikant? I'm noting down, so can you please bit slower and
Uh,
come again?
we were using Kafka as our streaming service
Okay.
to read data from SQL Server and write it to the target. So for that, we have Kafka. Kafka is one-time setup. So all we need to do is just set up the AWS MSK cluster and launch Kafka in it. And once the Kafka is launched, Kafka Connect will be available to us. Again, Kafka Connect is nothing but API service from Kafka where we can launch our connectors to read data and write the data to the target. So so that we are having around 80 databases and each database needs a different connector. Like we need to launch 80 connectors, around 80 connectors. So for that we can't launch one connector at a time. So for that we need to do some automation and we wrote a Python script using a JSON or YAML file with all
Using
the
an
data.
ML.
Sorry,
Oh yeah, you continue.
yeah. That YAML file contains all the database names, tables names, everything, all the 80 databases and around 60 tables from each database. Every details will be stored in there. And this Python file will be reading that YAML file and it will be generating a configuration for each connector and it will be connecting to that Kafka Connect API and it will be launching all 80 connectors at a time. If there is any update for any connector or if you are going to remove any tables from a existing connector, that Python function will be taking care of.
Uh, so what you're saying is like so I'll get it in one time. So what you're saying, like if we use Lambda function to trigger Kafka, right? Basically,
Uh,
that's what you're
Not
saying.
exactly to trigger Kafka. It's like to deploy Kafka connectors.
To deploy Kafka connectors from
In-
where to
Yeah,
deploy Kafka CTORs to deploy Kafka. So can you
yeah.
write it down?
Let
Deploy.
me. I have a SQL server
Okay.
as my source.
Mm-hmm.
So this data will be. I wanted to have it in Snowflake.
Snowflake. Okay, that's
So this is my source and end target. So
okay.
this is continuous streaming project. So there will be updates happening in SQL Server, and I will be using that. I will be streaming those updates to Snowflake. For that, we are using Kafka for streaming. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
S3 as data lake, and Snowflake is my database. In Kafka, I'm using Kafka connectors. Sorry, Kafka connectors. To set up this Kafka, uh, this was AWS MSK was used for Kafka.
To I mean like to launch Kafka.
To launch Kafka, we created on MSK cluster, and
MSK
Kafka was
cluster.
launched along with Kafka Connect. Again, Kafka Connect is nothing but a API service to launch the connector and all. To launch the connectors, we created a Lambda function, Lambda Python function to create to deploy connectors, Kafka
Connectors.
connectors. Okay. So once the connectors are deployed, there might be updates. So like I might change a YAML file, I might change a Python file, I might change some configuration. So every time that configuration is changed, this Lambda function will be executed and Kafka connectors will be updated.
So
Okay.
I didn't get you. Sorry. What do you do?
So for the first time when I created this Lambda function,
Mm-hmm.
I might be adding a new database.
Okay. New
So
database.
new database. Like I said, we have 80 databases, right?
Yeah.
We have 80 connectors deployed already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's say, let's say I want to add one more database.
Okay.
All I need to do is just add that database to the pipe, I mean the YAML file, and run this Python script, and it will directly launch the Kafka connector in that connectors.
No, I didn't get you. Why do you need to launch another database? Like, why do you want to create
The
another
new
database?
requirement, new
Hmm?
requirement, it's new requirement. So there are n
Also,
number of databases for them on different servers. So the thing is, initially they wanted to launch only copy data of 80 databases, and then they wanted to add one by one in the later parts.
okay.
So in that case, what I need to do is I will just directly go to the YAML configuration file, add the database and table system, and it will this Python function will launch those connectors.
Mm-hmm.
And then if there is any configuration change or if I wanted to remove any tables from the existing databases, then those kind of updates, this Lambda function will take care.
So what you're doing these connectors, you'll connect it to the data lake, or else like you're connecting to directly the database source, Snowflake.
What these connectors will do is it will read data
Mm-hmm.
uh, from SQL Server, CDC tables,
Okay, got you. Uh-huh.
and then write it to Kafka topics.
Got topics. Mm-hmm.
From there, we'll be using sync connectors
Sync connectors.
to write it to S3. We have you can search for S3 sync connectors. That's why. You can see S3 sync connectors.
Okay.
So what it will do is it will connect Kafka topics to S3 buckets.
Okay.
Whenever there is a uh, record in record or message in topic, Kafka topic, that will be written to S3 bucket folder wherever
Okay.
it is. So from here, there will be we will be connecting this S3 to Snowflake, and that will be taken care from Snowflake itself.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there is one more Lambda function we created in this scenario.
This is for the data migration, right? This is
Yes,
this is for the data migration.
yeah. There is one more Lambda function which is again created uh, with uh, by connecting to Kafka for monitoring purpose. Because we don't know, sometimes Kafka connectors may be failed because
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, network
Like,
issues or thresholding, throttling. There can be
okay.
n number of reasons.
Yeah. 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 Mhm.
We don't know when it can be down, or so it can be down at the midnight or some peak time. Anyway, we cannot monitor it continuously by popping it up on the monitor, right?
Mhm.
So for that, we created one more Lambda function and scheduled it for every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes. So what it will do
Okay.
is, it will connect Kafka connect. It will pull out all the connectors available there. It will check the status of each connector, whether it is running or stop or failed.
Mhm.
So there are few errors where we can retry. Just a restarting of that connector will just do the work for us. There will be certain errors, so we can make that list. We can check whether a connector failed with that error. We can just restart it and just send a notification to end user through it Slack message or email or maybe Teams message or SMS.
So, so basically, what is that like? What I wanted to like, I'll try to explain it what I understood. When you're trying to say it's a Lambda function like Kafka Connect, when we're trying to monitor the logs which are happened in the Kafka connectors, if in case in each and every 5 minutes, it will check the Kafka connectors whether it's working fine or not. If in case
Yes,
it's any other issue happened in the Kafka connector and failed, in the next 5 minutes it will get us an update like it will give us a notification.
yes. If it
So
failed,
with
if
it
it is a restartable error, it will trigger a restart and send a notification. It is not a restartable
it
error. We can again it will send a
so
notification.
it will trigger a notification automatically. It's like it will trigger a notification automatically, or it restarts automatically and triggers the notification.
Both, I mean, both. It will make a list. We configured it instead of getting multiple notifications at single time, single execution.
Hmm.
We made it restarted connectors
Hmm.
and failed connectors.
Started connectors, failed
Yeah,
connectors.
and JSON object we created a list, table list, and we are just sending this list to an SNS topic.
Okay,
So this SNS topic will be sending email alerts for us.
okay. So we'll connect this lambda function to the, I mean, like lambda function to the other lambda function. We'll
No,
add the lambda functions.
both are independent. This is just this will run
This is
there is a change in the configuration file or in the in that Python code. This will
so
run for every 5 minutes irrespective of any.
okay. So, but how they coordinate? Like, if this containers connectors failed, how this lambda function know that the second lambda function know it failed?
So you can it will be how this function will work is initially it will connect to this Kafka connect. There will be some URLs, a Kafka connect API URLs. Using that, we can just send a request to that API call URL, and you will get some response. So initially, what we will do, we will get all the list of connectors. Check status of each connector.
Mm-hmm.
If failed, restart or restart or I mean whether it is it is a restarted connector if it can restart or make a list of failed
Mm-hmm.
add to failed list. If success, if it is running or if it is stopped state because with some connectors we might have stopped intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
So if running or stopped, just move on to next.
Okay.
So once this is everything is done, send uh, restarted list and failed list to SNS. With the you
Uh,
can send some message how you wanted to look that. You can send that. You can
okay.
do that here and you can send that to SNS and SNS will take it. Or else you can take advantage of SMTP. You can configure
That's
that as well.
mm. So Shrikant, if this is the project which is like assigned to you to do this, like how much time they give for this project and what are the resources? Like who will assign this project to you? Can you explain that also? Like it will be helpful.
So this project I have done almost 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, 3 years ago. So there was there is an architect and DevOps team for us, semi DevOps team for us,
Mm-hmm.
where they set up the MSK cluster and Kafka. And what we need to do initially is we were given like three databases with 4 or 5 tables from each database.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, we need to figure out the
You have
Kafka configuration,
it's like the
Kafka
point of
configuration,
concept, like proof of concept.
kind of.
Yeah. Okay.
So initially, we need to figure out what is the best
Best
configuration,
way.
optimal configuration for each for the connectors, Kafka connectors. So initially,
Okay.
we directly go to this Lambda, we directly writing the Lambda function. Initially, we just needed to figure out the Kafka connector configuration. So
Okay.
there will be lot of you see here. You can see once you are done, there will be some more configuration. So you can see all of these are configurations for Kafka. There are a lot of
Okay.
configurations. We need to figure out which configuration we need to use everything. So once we figured out all of them, uh, we started to automate it from Python function using by writing Python code.
Mm-hmm.
So once that Python code is working as expected, we deployed it in Lambda function.
Okay. So as you said, it's streaming, whether it's like it's a real-time scenario going on in the back end, or else like you guys process it by batch, because you said that 80 tables are not going to do on at particular time. You said that one connector connects with the data. I mean, like one connector
Uh,
pushes the data into the S3, and the other connector pushes the second database into the S3. So you said that way.
it is real time. Streaming is real time. So maybe there might be a latency of few seconds or few minutes, but it is not till
It's not
S
bad.
till S3 it is real time.
Till S3, it's real time.
Yeah. After
And
that,
after
what-
you'll
no,
you'll do it like it's like you process the data.
sorry,
I mean, like after S3, you'll process the data into the database.
processing to the Snowflake warehouse and all, that is bad. Maybe sometimes they schedule it for 30 minutes, and sometimes some days they schedule it for like 6 hours a day. That
Okay.
depends on business requirement. But till S3, till the data lake, it is streaming because apart from Snowflake, there are many users, many business users that are using uh, different from
So
different
so
applications. From
so we call it as a this complete thing. We call it as a pipeline.
yes,
Okay. So it's
because
like a
of
so
the pipeline.
so like if like if I wanted to mention this in my resume points, like in few points. So like I worked on a data migration project related to from SQL to Snowflake database, I mean like data warehouse, where I used Kafka streaming and I used I mean like MSK like to connect, I mean like Lambda functions to make connectors and all. So we can relate these points and we can add a good resume points, right?
Yes,
Yeah, so I'll try to make my own resume points like 2 to 3. It's like I'll show you in the next class if possible. If
yeah.
you can
Try
list
to
them.
while making the resume, if you want
Hmm?
to add all of these points, try to add only those things you are comfortable. You can just
Okay,
keep
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
you can just ignore MSK part and they can just simply say we have a Kafka connector cluster available and we can just taking advantage of that. You can just simply mention like that.
Okay. So even like I'll try to make connections like dotted connections from the chat GPT. I'll try to get up more points on this, how to work on that.
So,
Yeah. So and okay, Shrikant, like so how much time it took to complete this entire project for you?
so this part took 3 months.
Sorry?
This creating Kafka connectors part took 3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months. But the real time, for example, like uh, but it's a real time project, right? But why it's like, I mean,
So
I'm not, I don't.
as I mentioned, we need to figure out the configuration as well. So there are a lot of hiccups we face. There are a lot of
So,
snags because we have a lot of things that so creating Kafka connectors for one or two databases is fine, but creating for 80 databases will be little few or restrictions we have. We need to use uh, same topics for all the databases. There are a lot of limitations from the requirement side. So we have to make changes here and there again and again and again for the configurations. That's the creating Lambda function. It didn't take more than a week
yeah,
or two. Changing
yeah.
the configurations took a lot of time.
Oh, so what, it's like, so, if in case like, what I mean to say is like, uh, if you have these config, like, it takes at least 10 months, as you said, like, so can we mention it in our resume? Is that fine if in case?
Maybe you can add it like 4 to 5 months till only
Okay,
you are only going to add this part. You can add
okay.
like 5 months. And if you are going to add the Snowflake data warehousing part as well, you can add because you need
So,
to build ETL scripts there, and you need to build the process. You need to
so,
create the everything there.
so, so the company require, say, for example, like if in case like if the client requirement is like they wanted to migrate from the SQL Server to Snowflake database, where they don't have any particular choice, so we can make our own configurations, like we can use our own services, like whatever the best solutions, we can come up with our own ideas, and then we have to solve the issue, right?
Yeah. Initially, you need to figure out which services you are going to use, whether you are using
Okay,
Kafka or DMS
Mm-hmm.
or
It depends.
EM or Glue. You have a lot of options.
Okay.
This is one
So,
of the options. This architecture was even we even long before we started working on this one, they decided this architecture to use Kafka. That's the
so,
reason we use.
so after this, after you creating this architecture, will they make it any like a container image or else any other image like is that possible?
No, the container images, uh, we use that container images, but for only setting up the Kafka here.
Okay. No, I'm saying that the overall structure of architecture. Can they make any container image from this?
Cloud
No?
formation, cloud formation.
Cloud formation. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Cloud formation is the best
It will
solution
be
to know. And
added to
they'll
cloud.
say, and they'll save it to the organization account.
Yeah, they will be stored in the Git. So that cloud formation template will be used for deployment. If something failed at some point in that cloud formation, everything will be reverted.
Okay.
It's like deployed completely or not deployed.
Okay, basically it's like oh, apart from this, you don't do any other work, right? Apart from this, if in case they send you some task in, so for example in data engineering, they send you this SQL Server to Snowflake database. Apart from this, do they give any particular other services to check upon and other any other things they'll assign to you?
For this particular, we have few things, few more services. Uh, so you need to learn a little bit about CloudWatch logs. So if there is some
Yeah.
error comes up, you need to see what is that error. So you need to know how to check the logs in CloudWatch
Okay.
and
So as you
investigate it.
mentioned the as you mentioned the cloud logs, so do you recommend any other services apart from the cloud watches or like outside of the AWS services like Login, Mesmo, or else like New Relic?
So if we are in AWS, I would suggest to go for CloudWatch.
No, I was trying to do a project regarding the CloudWatch log. I mean, like log. I mean, like to visualize the logs and make edits from apart from the CloudWatch in the different service AWS services. Apart from the AWS services, I was trying to do with Mesmo and Neuralink. I couldn't do them, so that's why I'm asking. Apart from this, do you know any other micro orchestration service tools that can help me?
Uh, I haven't worked on any other third-party services because
Okay, so
CloudWatch itself gives you the flexibility to directly open the log and see or to query the log. You can just use some queries like within SQL Server. You can use queries to query there, or you can send like there are a lot of you can visualize, create graphs, create dashboards, or
oh
create events to send notifications when something
oh
unexpected comes
thing
up in the
happened.
cloud. So, lot of
And
advantages take
how
in cloud. So that's the reason everyone who is working on AWS will opt for the cloud.
oh
Shrikant,
so
just a quick question. If you have worked on this one, I will stay in the call. Otherwise, I will leave the call. Did you work on transferring the 3D images to S3?
Um, 3D images, no, but I worked on copying just files from SFTP server to S3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Thank you, Shrikant. I will see you next week.